Good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone watching on ITV and via live stream and call the October 10th, 2023 regular meeting to order with all board members present. The Mira Mesa High School JROTC Color Guard will now present the colors. Please stand for the presentation of the colors. Trustee. Trustee Lavender Williams, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. I would like to make a motion to adopt today's agenda with item F6, the resolution recognizing November 2023 as National Native American Heritage Month, to be heard next. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Whitehurst Payne, second by Trustee Pedersen. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Trustee Lavender Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Catoriano.
Aye.
Okay. And all others? Okay, motion passes unanimously with student board members concurring.
Today's meeting of the Board of Education is a business meeting that is conducted in public, and board members will not engage in a dialogue with members of the audience. Board Bylaw 1025 sets the time limit for public comment on agenda items at 10 minutes per side, pro and con, or 20 minutes total. Speakers will be able to provide testimony at the beginning of the appropriate agenda item or at the end of the meeting for non-agenda public comment. Please listen for your name to be called. Speakers are listed and called in the order received. When your name is called, please come to the podium to speak. Speakers participating via Zoom will be asked to unmute when their name is called. If you are unable to unmute yourself, we will call the next speaker. Please follow along with the agenda so that you know when your item is coming up for discussion. If you would like to sign up for in-person public comment, iPads are available in the back of the auditorium and in the lobby.
Thank you. We will now consider board consent agenda item F6, resolution in the matter of recognizing November 2023 as National Native American Heritage Month. I'd like to invite some people to the podium to help us set the context for this item. We have Chuck Cadat, who is the PAC Vice Chair, who's going to be doing a land acknowledgement. Is Chuck here? Maybe not. Okay. Marcia Hunter, PAC Chair, for introduction of the PAC. Do we have? Oh, okay, come on up, Marcia. And then finally, Bobby Walking Stick Wallace, who's the Kumeyaay spiritual leader. Is Bobby here?
Hi.
Okay, great. All right. So, Marcia, why don't you go ahead and start, and then we'll have Bobby speak after you.
Ma'am, there's a gray button on the bottom of that microphone. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, before I speak, we're going to have Bobby actually do the land acknowledgement. Okay, thank you. Here you go.
Hey, you guys. Hello, President, Vice President, Superintendent, and board members. Thank you so much for having me here, and I appreciate it. My name's Bobby Wallace. I'm from the Barona Band of Mission Indians, also Pueblo from New Mexico. My family's been here since the beginning, at the waters, up and over to the desert, and back and forth. I want to say a little something for the elders in the land right now. Into our gods, whichever God you choose to pray to. How can chuwai o wempayo setnain maikha? Inyach Bobby Wallace, Barona Band of Mission Indians. And what I just said is, I want to thank the Creator for reaching out and helping us today. And I really appreciate it. And what a wonderful thing you guys are doing with the resolution. And I hope I can get a copy of that too, because this is historic and it's pretty awesome. You know, my people have been here since the beginning. We traveled back and forth. You know, we just came out of the bush in 1932, which wasn't very long ago. And we were able to survive in the Barona Reservation since then and progress to where we are right now. A long time ago, we had issues in education, a lot of racial stuff. I live in Lakeside, a lot of racial stuff, and you know, that's kind of on the outskirts of where it happens. But my hat's off to you guys for doing this resolution, because it really means something. And it means something to me because I grew up with the hardships and had to live with it. And I still carry some of that trauma with me today. I can't speak for everyone, but I know this is really profound. And it's a great thing, you guys. I know you guys have the arduous task of trying to bring forth education to all the younger people, and that means all kids, all students, and do it in a fair and rightful way. And again, my bandana's off to you guys. San Diego, America's finest city. We are leaders and on the forefront of stuff. We really are here. Myself, I was able to do quite a few things. My last venture was running across the continent from Canada and Maine all the way to California and Mexico. We own it right here, you guys, San Diego. That's us. And I did it for a prayer for water, and I did it for all of us San Diegans. You know, we're on the map with that one. Again, I appreciate your time. Hopefully we can keep moving forward and strive for better and better and better. And that's not just for Native or white or whatever a person's heritage might be, but I speak for everyone. You know, I speak for the people that don't have a voice. And there's a lot of people that don't have a voice out there, or some that are pushed away, or some that are treated differently. And it really honors me to be able to come up here and look you guys in the face and just, you know, show the love to you guys for what you're doing. And I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. I want to pray to the ancestors that are underneath this ground. They're my ancestors. It's my DNA scattered throughout this territory. And whomever you pray to them well. I want to thank Mother Earth for giving us what she needs for all of us to survive in this time we have right now. I want to thank the Creator, your God, for all the people, every one of us, to succeed and do the best we can. I want to pray for all the life Mother Earth gives us, from the rocks to the plants to the trees to the sky to the lightning to the bugs to the thunder to the stuff we all see and to the stuff we don't see. And last, I hope you all pray for yourselves, that you can be strong, we can get through this time in history and make a good mark and do great things with one another. Nuknuwat. Thank you.
Thank you. And Marcia?
Before I address the board, I do want to address the elders that are in the room, and sorry for speaking up before all the elders in the room. I am the daughter of Yvette Hunter. I am the granddaughter of Roy and Arvella Hunter, and I am the great-granddaughter of John Hopkins, Ruth Eagle, Dan Hopkins, Ruth Eagle, John Spotted Wolf, and Mrs. Duckett. And I say these things because they all come before me, and I stand here because of them. And I am a mother of a child that is in the San Diego Unified District, and I am the chair for the San Diego Unified District Indian Education and Johnson O'Malley program. And I wanted to speak to you guys today and thank you all for bringing this resolution to San Diego and also to the district. It means a lot to the Native community and to see representation within the district for the Native students. He said that these are just first steps. We need to bring more education to this district and to the teachers to help these children, these Native children, to be seen. Next, we need to to address the gap in the education for the Native Americans. I remember as a child also being taught and traumatized when it came to Native American history. And it was very harmful at the time, especially when it came to Thanksgiving or the American history in the 5th grade. And I'm proud to say that my daughter did not have to go through this thing. She's in 5th grade right now, and I was allowed to come into the classroom to teach about Native American history from a first-person experience. So there has been change, and it's needed. So thank you, and thank you to the district. We need to change history. We need to get education to the teachers about Native history and to learn from our point of view about the traumatic things that happen in history. We need to acknowledge the Kumeyaay Nation here in San Diego, the first peoples of these lands. I myself and my family are visitors on this land. And I'm grateful for everything that this land has provided, the home, food, and the luxurious life out here. So I wanted to say thank you to the Kumeyaay people also on behalf of our program. And again, I want to thank you all for allowing this resolution to come up and to recognize the Native American community for November. And we should be able to fly that Kumeyaay flag all year long, because we are all on Kumeyaay land. That doesn't change. It's not just 1 month. We should be acknowledging that community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our speakers. And do we have a motion on item F6? Motion by Trustee Pedersen. Do we have a second? Second by Trustee Cotoriano. And do we have any additional speakers on? No, okay. All right. So do we have trustees that want to say anything about this item? Trustee Pedersen.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you to Brother Bobby Wallace and to Marcia, is that? And thank you so much for being here today and for your eloquent speech. I just want to reiterate something that they said, which is this is a starting point, these resolutions. The reality is, as we were doing the Pledge of Allegiance here, I thought, what must it mean exactly to have a Pledge of Allegiance to a native San Diegan Coahuila, Cupeño, Kumeyaay, Luiseno, whose family lived through the conquest, this was once, as Bobby alluded to, this would be winter territory here. You'd be fishing, they would have been fishing and getting clams and other seafood, and then they would have moved up. October is probably the end of the acorn season, and then they would move into the desert for pinyon pine. But they were what anthropologists they were migratory throughout the year. And this whole of San Diego hosted probably 20,000 Native Americans at the time, and now there's 3 million. Obviously, we can't go back to an era in which there's 20,000 people in San Diego. The native San Diegans recognize the reality. This is a thriving urban modern society, and yet as a board, we need to do more than just have a resolution. And I think I speak for the entire board when I say we are committed to doing that more. What does it mean to not only provide educational and social and emotional services to our Native youth, but what does it mean to foster a society in which they don't have to live constantly with the reminders of the conquest? They don't have to, back in the day we did was it 5th grade? We did the mission project, which is sort of glorification of the mission system, which had to have been deeply traumatic for Native Americans. And I'll just say my son, the first time he was 5, and we went to the Cabrillo Museum, and we walked in and there was a suit of conquistador armor, and he said, "Dad, why is there a suit of conquistador armor here? Didn't they destroy the native peoples?" And I said, "Yes, you're actually right." And so how do we make amends not just at the level of the services we provide to Native American students and their families, but in the broader society? How do we intervene to make sure that our students don't have to live in a world, particularly our Native American students, that constantly reminds them of what's been done to them and their culture? So I, for one, am committed to doing that work, and I think my colleagues are as well. So this is the start.
Thank you, Trustee Pedersen. Thank you for support of this resolution. Anyone else? All right, then we will go ahead and start with our students voting. Trustee Catoriano?
Aye.
And Trustee Lavender Williams?
Aye.
And all the rest? Okay, and that resolution passes unanimously with students, board members concurring. Okay. Now we're going to have our student presentation. I'd like to welcome Choyas Mead Elementary School Principal, Trustee Hunter Clark, and her students to tell us about their whole school literacy program. Welcome.
All right, good evening, President Bazo, Board Trustees, and Superintendent Jackson. My name is Christy Hunter Clark, and I'm the principal at Choyas Mead Elementary School. At Choyas Mead, we have worked closely with the Diamond Education Excellence Partnership, DEEP, for the past 10 years. Through this partnership, we have participated in professional development with the California Reading and Literacy Project. Teachers and staff have gained knowledge and skill to strengthen their Tier 1 and Tier 2 strategies of teaching students to read. Throughout the day, teachers meet with students in small groups to provide instruction for students at their reading level. Teachers plan lessons with reading strategies embedded to support students across the board. In addition, Choyas Mead dedicates time daily to deploy our primary students to their instructional level of SIPS, which stands for Systematic Instruction in Phonological Awareness, Phonics, and Sight Words. That's all determined by assessment results. We also have embedded times within the instructional day for our UTK and kinder teachers to teach Heggerty to strengthen phonological awareness. We're going to show a video now that highlights a kinder classroom engaging in Heggerty.
Nice. Nice. Without the ice. Boot. Boot. Without the boot. Boot. Robe. Robe. Without the Oh. Nice job. I'm gonna say a word and you say it. That. And then you're gonna change the piece in the beginning. Rhyming words. Rhyming words. Sound the same. Sound the same. Ready? Boat. Boat. Damien. Boat. Boat. Change boat to goat. 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 Change good to coat. Dear, Brandon, you too. Coat. Coat. Change k to Note. Note. Try one more time. Coat. Coat. Change k to Note. 。 Note.
Due to DEEP's generous efforts in fundraising, we have also been able to offer additional literacy support through programs like Soaring Readers, our after-school tutoring program, Super Tuesdays, which is our science and art enrichment, Summer Readers, Future Leaders, which is a 5-week program that offers a robust morning literacy instruction with science and art enrichment in the afternoons to a group of strategically selected students. It is my honor to introduce to you a few of our Choice Mead leaders that will tell you about those additional supports.
Hello, my name is Michael, and I'm a third grader at Choice Mead. My teacher, Miss Andrews, taught me how to read. In SIPS, I learned how to sound out letters and read words. My teacher gave me books at my level, and I practice every night. My favorite books were the biscuit books.
This is a video of Michael when he came to us in first grade.
Biscuit plays ball. It's time to play ball. Biscuit. Woof, woof. Look, Biscuit. The game is about to begin. Woof, woof. Stay here. Now, Biscuit, you can watch.
Hello everybody, my name is Himana and I'm in third grade. My first grade teacher, Miss Woods, helped me read sight words. She also helped me with math. She is so kind. We also had ice cream. Miss Woods made me feel less stressed about reading because she helped me sound out words and learn my sight words. My favorite books are the Magic Tree House books. Hi, my name is Lila. I am a third grade student. I like Summer Readers, Soaring Readers, and Super Tuesday because all the teachers are fun, amazing, and kind. In Super Tuesday, we have music and science classes. I love music because we learned different songs. I love Choice Mead.
Don't look at them. Okay, you don't have to. You want me to read it for you? Okay. Hey, stay here. All right, this is Areli. She's a 4th grade student. Summer Readers was a great time for her. Summer Readers helped her learn how to read fluently. She had a hard time reading in 3rd grade, and during summer school, she became a better reader. Now that she's in 4th grade, she feels very successful.
Hi, my name is Jura, and I'm a 4th grade student. What I liked about Summer Readers, because we had fun with ships and reading books and having snow cones. We read The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, and I loved it because I learned how the boy and his friends used trees and trash to build a windmill.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. I am a leader. I am here to learn. I will take responsibilities for my learning and share what I know with others. I will be kind and respectful to others as well as to myself. I will listen, I will read, I will write, I will solve problems. I am a Choice Mead leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Hunter Clark, and I love that you brought along your cheering squad, too. That was awesome. And I had opportunity to go to Choice Mead's last school year and to hear about their reading program, and you guys do an amazing job. And I just want to say that, Michael, you brought back memories because both my daughters love Biscuit too. It's a great books to learn how to read too. Thank you so much for coming. Any other comments? Do you want to do picture? Picture? You guys want to do picture?
Come on up, Michael. Go ahead. Start your stuff, man. You guys want me to? There you go. There you go.
Okay, we are up to item D1, and we do not have any reportable actions today from closed session. Next is Superintendent Jackson. Are there any administrative assignments to report?
Thank you, President Bazo. Yes, we have a few this evening. I'm proud to announce the principal at Chesterton Elementary, Jennifer Grondak. Principal, John Muir Language Academy, Natasha Rendon. Welcome to the district. Associate Principal, Spreckles Elementary School, Tracy Awadifrin. And I have one correction to make from last board meeting. I announced Associate Principal of Garfield Elementary. It should have been Garfield High School, Guillermo Medina. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we can give them a hand.
Yes. Thank you and welcome to these individuals. And at this time, I'd like our ASB representative from La Jolla High School, Peyton Smith, to introduce herself. She's going to tell us a little bit more about her time in La Jolla, what she's doing at the school, and what's going on both on the academic level as well as socially. So welcome, Peyton.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Move this a little bit. My name is Peyton Smith. I'm a senior at La Jolla High School. I'm our ASB president, and just going to go talk about some things that have been going on at La Jolla High School. So since we're now back in full swing of things, we had Club Day, which is a super exciting day for everyone at our school. But this year we've had a record amount of clubs added to La Jolla High School, totaling 96 clubs, which they range all the way from Overdose Awareness Club to a Latin Club, Minority Alliance to Sailing Club. So Sailing Club had a full-on sailboat on campus, so it was really cool. So we also experienced over 400 La Jolla High students signing up for at least one club. So that was a record amount as well. So super successful for Club Day. Our homecoming this year, we had it on September 29th. The theme was Wild Wild West, and we sold 800 tickets. We had a little weather scare, thought it was gonna have to be held in the gym, so we had to cap it there, but it ended up being outside on our softball field, and I received a lot of positive feedback, especially from seniors, saying it was the best last homecoming, which is always great to hear, and I agreed as a senior myself. And we profited around $12,000, which we plan to use to plan more events and then create new school merch because we have to keep up with the trends and get some new stuff in. So along with homecoming, we had a really successful Spirit Week. Our freshman class has been super positive and has really helped us with upping the spirit. So along with this, we kind of piggybacked it with a mental health week. So on our PA system, members of our La Jolla High School PTSA student leaders, they gave encouraging messages over the PA system about how to cope with difficult times and stress management, all of that. They also set out whiteboards in the quad, which had encouraging sticky notes in all different colors. You could come up and grab one, you could write them and leave them for people. And then we gave out lollipops as well. And we also piggyback this during finals week when we have bubbles. We usually have someone come on campus and do big bubbles. We give out lollipops, bubble wrap to pop for stress. And then we also had therapy dogs on campus, which are really, I mean, it helps the buzz of campus for sure, all of those walking around. And then lastly, this Friday, we have our Dig for Pink, which is basically our varsity water polo team is playing our varsity volleyball team in a like a fundraiser for breast cancer. So it's put on by our varsity water polo coach. His wife had breast cancer, so it started that way. So it's super fun. Everyone comes. Everything is like all the proceeds go to breast cancer. Everyone decks out in pink. So it's always fun to watch our friends too play each other. So we've had a lot of positive spirit. We're amping it up this year, hopefully for the best in my last senior year. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Peyton, and I like the idea of the fundraiser, doing it in kind of a unique and special way. So thank you for sharing, and not to put you on the spot, but we always ask if they're seniors, if you have ideas of college or, you know, you don't have to share, but if up to you.
I'm a runner, so I run track. So I'm deciding between the next 2 months. I'm looking at University of Michigan, University of Oregon, University of Washington, UCLA, and Duke. So those are my options. I'm going to decide the next month, but I'll be running in the next 4 years and hopefully for 2028 Olympics. So.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. They will be lucky to have you, whichever school you choose. But I think Big Ten. You should go Big Ten. That's what I was. Agreed. Yeah. Okay. Next, we have, I think that's just our only ASB report tonight. So we're on D4. Superintendent Jackson, please provide your information report.
Thank you, President Bozzo, and thank you, Peyton. I'm sure you made Trustee Pedersen's evening as a Viking himself.
Yes.
And he played water polo. You probably didn't know. Maybe you did. So, not in the Olympics. Well, for me, I would say whether it was in the classroom or this week on the basketball court, I spent some time refereeing some of our middle school basketball, which was a lot of fun, and had a chance to see lots of our young ladies competing. 3 women's game that I refereed, and very competitive and very exciting. Or whether it was in the classroom, the chance this week to be at Rowan, Silvergate, and Sunset. Dr. Bagula and I get a chance to get in schools, and Dr. Whitehurst, I'm not sure where you are, but we're close to 40. We're close to 40. So it has been a great joy to see the tremendous learning and the joy and excitement of our students inside the classrooms and outside the classroom. And Jen Carpenter, I know I said Rowan, so I'm sure you have some fond memories. What a great campus. They're doing great work. Thank you. I also want to lift up a great opportunity we had on our non-instructional day this past Friday, October 6th. Dr. Bagula put together in collaboration with our ASD leader, Donis, where principals and associate principals came together, some of the central office leaders came together to do some learning around restorative practices. As you know, some changes have been made for all of our students and staff, along with our budgeting process. Some of our leaders really getting to know our budgeting process and the SBB process as we're going to get into that season coming up, as well as some human resource training. And that's been really exciting. And I just want to thank all of our leaders for taking the time. I know they were looking forward to having that time on their campuses, and yet they chose to come in a voluntary way, and they showed up in a big, big way. So shout out to all of the leaders who put the training on, from human resources to our finance team, to our executive team with restorative discipline. It was really great to see our leaders showing up and learning. Finally, I want to share with the board, I know the board has received some emails and perhaps some calls. I know I've received some. We've had some folks speak, and perhaps we'll hear some this evening around the excess process. And I want to let you know that while this is a yearly process where we move staff from one school to another to balance out the staffing, to make sure that our students are getting what they need, it does certainly cause some disruption that we are paying attention to because we have moved from projections to the reality. And in some cases, we have staff that are assigned to schools and they're receiving staff, and in some cases, schools are losing staff, and this can cause some consternation for families and for students. We understand that this level of transition takes care, compassion, understanding for our educators and our students and our families. And I want to praise our leaders for leaning into what it takes to do this excess process. And whether our schools are assigned a new educator or losing, the continuity of learning 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks into the school year, we know is challenging, and we want everyone to recognize that we are currently reflecting on our processes, and we want to think of ways to move our timeline up. When we think about projections that come out in the spring, what can we do then to prepare ourselves for the start of the school year so that we have less transition in the fall? Particularly in our kinder years, in the transitional grades, 6th grade, 9th grade, those types of things. We know that it's very, very important. And so we have a commitment to work with our labor partners, work with our school leaders, work with central office staff to make sure that we are reviewing, refining, and improving this process so that we can make a commitment to our students and our communities to have less transition in the fall. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening, and that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next, we will hear item E1, which is our update on UTK through 12 literacy. Dr. Jackson, please introduce the item.
Thank you, President Bozzo. Tonight we will hear the second of a continuous series of presentations regarding UTK, or Universal Transitional Kindergarten, through 12th grade literacy. This presentation will provide an update on our current data and our path forward to improve student outcomes for literacy. And this evening, we have Maria Montgomery, our Senior Director of Humanities, presenting, and she is joined, if we look a little bit behind Maria, we have Sarah Matthews and Jen Carpenter, who will join her in presenting this evening.
You guys want to, or are they going to come up after you, or?
I'll explain.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you guys can all come up if you want. Okay. Thank you.
To come up.
Come on up.
Okay.
Just roll a chair up.
Here, I'm going to go here so that. Thank you, Superintendent Jackson, and good evening, President Bozzo, Vice President Hazen, and trustees. Okay. This one. Okay. I'll try to talk a little bit louder. There we go. Okay. Again, I'm Maria Montgomery, the Senior Director for Humanities, and joining me today are members of our team, Jen Carpenter. She is our Director of Academics through Agency, and Sarah Matthews is a Program Manager for Cross-Content Literacy. And I'll be doing the presenting today, and they will be here to help us with our conversation after the presentation. We also have some additional members of our UT K-12 Literacy Collaborative Network here in the audience with us today. So with that, we'll begin. As you know, we as a district are committed to our Vision 2030 for our students. We know that we can't achieve Vision 2030 unless our students, all of our students, are literate. We believe that literacy is a fundamental right for all students in our district. When we came to you in July, we shared with you our shifts in the way that we're working as a literacy department. We're focused on collective responsibility and looking at including radically all departments in our district to support us in our literacy work. So we're shifting from the mindset that literacy work is reliant on one single department. Rather, it's a collective responsibility that we all share, and we're working to expand our literacy network. We'll be with you, as Dr. Jackson said, 3 times this year, in October, February, and July, to provide updates with you about our plan and our progress. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to share with you a little bit about our current reality, our goal, how we're progress monitoring, and then our next steps. So this year we have determined that we will look at 5 progress indicators in order to help us deepen our understanding of our current reality and to monitor progress across the year. We are going to be looking at the Smarter Balanced Assessment and the FAST assessment. We'll also be looking at the English Learner Progress Indicators, as well as our rates for graduation and students enrolled in courses for UC A through G. There's a 5th indicator that we are looking to develop this year, and that we will be developing in collaboration with our asset-based data team in order for us to get a better understanding of our students' identity, their confidence, motivation, and sense of joy in our classrooms. So our goal this year for literacy is to increase the percent of students meeting or exceeding the standards on the 2024 ELA Smarter Balanced Assessment by 3 percentage points. We arrived at this goal by looking at our historic data and determined that this is a goal that we can achieve. So let's take a look at the FAST assessment. As I mentioned, this is one of the indicators that will be measuring student progress across the year. If you take a look at this slide, you'll see that this is the disaggregated data from our most recent FAST assessment. We'll be assessing students 3 times over the course of the year. Taking a closer look at our English learners, our students with disabilities, our Black youth, our Hispanic youth, you're going to see that there's a clear issue for equity. Each of these students groups have a percent of students at or above grade level that is less than 50%. Our English learner group is less than 20%. There's 2 additional groups on the right side, our Native American and our Pacific Islander, that are just above 50%. In order to meet our literacy goals, to ensure that every student is literate, and to meet that vision for 2030, we must design supports with these student groups in mind. We have prepared for you some additional disaggregated data in our attachments. One attachment is disaggregated data for the district overall. The other attachment is a list and links to digital data dashboards for each of you in your sub-districts. What we've created for you is an ability for you to look at your data for your sub-district, look at the disaggregated data that we shared today, as well as take a look at some street data where we are highlighting an educator and a learner in each one of your areas. So that's in your attachments, and we look forward to hearing about your experience as you look at that data. So our analysis of data is not over yet. We're not finished. We know that it's going to take all of us. We know that it's also going to take shared leadership. And so we are going to be working in collaboration with our area superintendent instructional teams so that we can really understand the bright spots that exist throughout our district. We are going to be focusing on growing the best practices, the promising practices that are happening in our school sites where we see evidence that it's impacting our students positively. We've provided the 2 attachments that are listed, and our leadership team will be taking advantage of time together to have quarterly literacy data reviews. Now, when we were here in July, we shared with you this document which shares our areas of support for UTK to literacy throughout our district. What we've done for you tonight is we've provided you with an attachment, and in that attachment you'll have examples and details for each one of these supports so that you can see that this work is ongoing work that we continue to do every day with our schools. I'll provide for you a few highlights. One of the highlights in our area of universal supports is that we have added 4 micro-credentials that are available to all teachers for them to engage in professional learning in an area that they are interested in. Another example is in the on-site supports area. We are providing on-site support in 30 schools with the support of our literacy acceleration and our cross-content literacy teams. And then lastly, we are excited to share that there are 47 literacy teachers from our secondary schools that are participating in capacity builders and growing their learning together collaboratively. So there's one point of tension that's apparent but not always spoken. And that is, as a district, as we start to live into this concentric model, this concentric circle model, and we start to learn from the best practices that exist across our system, we know that we need to hold students at the center of the concentric circle. We know that that's our shared responsibility. And at the same time, we acknowledge that there are system-wide shifts that need to take place. There are supports that we need to provide to our educators in order to make this work. There's a few other points of tension. Right now, currently, there is some considerable rhetoric around the reading wars in our nation, and that can be quite polarizing, can also be divisive. Our approach is to provide opportunities for our educators to engage in collaborative conversations, to create a space where they can build that collective responsibility, the collective understanding and knowledge about what supports our students really need. We also recognize, and you saw in our data, that there is considerable literacy rate variability across our district, and we have variability in our classrooms with regards to curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And then lastly, when we launched our adoption for Benchmark, Adelante, and Advanced, there was limited professional learning. We were only able to provide a few hours of professional learning to start that implementation process. And so we know we need to provide additional support to our teachers in order to implement that curriculum. So what are we going to do? Here's what we're going to do. We are going to ensure that our educators are well supported, they're knowledgeable, they're skillful. And we're going to do that by collaborating with our other departments. With our asset-based data team, we'll collaborate to create literacy assessments that truly strive to get at the assets of our students, to see what their strengths are as well as what their needs are. And then we are also in collaboration with our Department for Multiple Systems of Tiered Support, and we will be creating systems of support for students in literacy. So what are we going to do in the next few months? These are some specific actions that we'll be taking in order to move in the direction of those outcomes. First, we are going to engage in a system-wide literacy asset mapping project. What does that mean? That means that we're going to be looking at curriculum, instruction, and interventions across our district. We're going to be particularly focused on foundational skills, cross-content literacy practices, especially in our secondary environments, and then culturally and linguistically responsive instruction and materials. We are also going to engage in that fall literacy data analysis that I mentioned earlier. And what we are going to do is take the results of that data analysis and look at multiple measures, as well as the results from our literacy asset mapping project, so that we can identify bright spots that are happening every day in our district where we have evidence that things are working for our students in our classrooms every day. And then lastly, we'll be launching our school and community network. We believe that it's incredibly important for us to be partnering and working right alongside our parents, our teachers, our educators who are with our students every single day. They are the ones closest to our students. Okay, with that, that ends our presentation, and I want to thank you. We look forward to coming back in February to report out on our progress in these areas. And I'd like to open it up now for some comments.
Thank you, and we appreciate you keeping it short, but still making sure that you prioritized and got all the important items in there. Let's see, this is not an action item, I don't think, so we don't need a motion. Okay, so do we have any, no, we don't have any speakers. So any board members want to start? Trustee Hazen.
So first of all, really appreciate all the work that went into this presentation. I know it's been an iterative process, so really thank you. I think this really gets a lot closer to what we need in order to know where our students really are, disaggregating data, even when it's challenging and hard to see, so that we know where we need to focus. And I think, as we look at tighter budgets in years ahead, knowing where are our dollars making the most difference, what are the interventions that are working to ensure that all kids can read, we need to know that, and we have to be able to have the data to show us that. So appreciate that. I'm wondering, as we talk about and look at some of this disaggregated data and look at historically marginalized groups who we continue maybe not to support in ways that we need to, I'm wondering, do we have goals? So I see indicator 1, the goal is 3% sort of across the board increase on Smarter Balanced. Has the team thought about having different goals depending on the population? And how did we land on 3%?
Right, so the overall goal for the Smarter Balanced assessment, we arrived at that when we looked at the historical data for that assessment. We tended pre-pandemic, right, pre-COVID, we tended to increase by 1 or 2%. So we feel like increasing by 3% is a goal that is a reasonable goal that we think that we can meet, right? Now, with regards to what you're talking about with disaggregated, we just received the FAST assessment data. September 29th, I believe, was the window closed on September 29th. And so that is the reason for that data analysis and review day that we'll be having as a team. That takes place on November 2nd. And during that day, we want to take a closer look at that disaggregated data within FAST as well as in SBAC. Yeah. And that's why we've chosen 5 indicators, because we want to look at multiple measures. And we know that there are still some assessments that we need to consider and take a look at in order to get to know our students better, right? So that we can really get to the areas of strength and the areas of need. So what we'll be doing on that day is taking a further look at the data and specifically the student groups that we mentioned today, so that we can look at creating some goals for each of those groups. And we know and we expect that the goals for the groups that we mentioned tonight will actually need to also represent an acceleration, right? Because we do need that overall 3%. That equates to over 1,300 students district-wide. And that's significant. Yeah. And yet at the same time, we need to look at our student groups who have been historically marginalized and ensure that we're not just increasing by 1 or 2%, but that we are accelerating that growth.
That's great. I'm also wondering, for FAST, we had this indicator 2, I didn't see a specific goal, but I may have missed it. Like, is there percent of students that we want to be able to see at or above grade level by, is this 3 times a year, by winter, by spring? Is there a number that we should, so when you come back to us February, right, where do we want to be?
Right. No, that's a great question. So we'll be meeting on November 2nd, right, to do that data analysis and review, and then we can provide the goals for you after that meeting. And then we'll report back on that in February.
Yeah, yes. And I appreciate this is a work in progress, and we're asking you to do things that we don't always ask for. So in February, we will get what the goal was for the spring and then for
We'll actually provide that goal after we do the analysis, so that you'll know what that goal is ahead of time. And then when we come back in February, we'll be reporting on the progress towards that goal.
Okay. And then, so one other thing, and I mentioned it to a few people up here on the dais, as we heard from students at Choice Mead, and they talked about their amazing reading program and everything that's happening there. And then we heard because of DEEP, and DEEP is amazing and wonderful, right? And the private funding that is making this possible. It gives me pause, because it shouldn't be extra. It shouldn't be because some outside group comes in and provides, what do they have, SIPs and Hegarty and after-school soaring reading programs. How do we make sure that that is part and parcel of what we do for all students if we know that works? We shouldn't be relying on private funding to make it possible. We love when outsiders provide that supplemental support, but it was just something that I'm curious about. And I think particularly as we look at what interventions work and where, thinking about not only what we are doing through the district, but with outside partners as well.
Yeah, and we were really happy that Choice Mead was here today and to be able to showcase all of their work. We really do consider them to be a bright spot and a place where we need to come alongside and learn more. We talk a lot about growing those bright spots inside of a cluster, like a cluster approach to learning, so that teachers are learning from each other some of the best practices that are working. In addition to the support that DEEP is providing at 4 of our schools, 23 additional schools are receiving support through the Literacy Acceleration Plan, which is a department within San Diego Unified. We have been also focusing on small group instruction, lots of strategies around decoding, phonemic awareness, phonics. So some of the very similar things that Choice Mead students talked about, and the joy that they have being able to decode books and have confidence, we're seeing those very same outcomes for our students within those 23 literacy acceleration focus schools.
One thing, and for a program like Hegarty, as we mentioned in July, we have a supplemental program review work group. So as part of this literacy asset mapping, we have many different kindergartens using Hegarty and all of our UTKs using Hegarty. And so if that is a program that more schools want, we will look closer at that local data to see how that is working out.
And I would push us to think not just what do schools want, but what do we know is effective, and what are we going to give them? And I would say just one last thing, because I know I've taken up more than my fair share of time. As you talk about points of tension and reading wars, rhetoric, and belief system variability, I appreciate the work that's being done, and I think at some point we have to be able to say, what are those belief systems that no longer serve us? What are instructional strategies that are proven not to work? When I go into classrooms and I still see people talking about picture power, when we know pictures don't teach kids how to read, like, we have to be able to say that as well.
Trustee Barrera?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to, first of all, again, very clear presentation, and I love that you're coming back 4 times during the year to update us. And I just wanted to support Trustee Hazen's. I think the most important goal is the growth that we see over the course of the year, particularly among our, the subgroups that we're targeting. More important than the Smarter Balance goal. Because again, it's what you're doing with the FAST data is you've got specific students and we're seeing how they grow. Smarter Balance just, it's not the same group of students that we're testing year after year. So I support that. One of the things that I didn't see in our strategies was what is the work that we're doing with parents? And particularly, so I don't know if you saw, there was just an article a few days ago from Catherine Snow and Susan Engel at Harvard. And what they were talking about was connecting what students are reading to what they already know, how important that is. but it also is part of where the gap starts to occur before kids even get there, because if we have parents that are working 3 jobs and don't have the time to be talking to their kids, kids don't have that knowledge base that they can connect. So I'm wondering, sort of in this work, where is the work to help parents develop simple, effective strategies that even in a very busy parent's life, they can do with their kids?
That's a great question, and I'll start off and then I'll have Jen share with you some of the current things. But over the last couple of years, in collaboration with the Parent Engagement Office and Pam King, we have been providing various modules and live sessions via Zoom for our parents, for our earliest learners, to help them understand not just only literacy development, but language development, and doing exactly what we're talking about. What's happening in our everyday life? How can we support the oral language development, which leads to supporting the literacy development? I know that department also has some very easy to read and access high leverage reading strategies and high leverage writing strategies that are on their website. This year, as we started to think more about family engagement, we're designing a little bit differently. And in our UTK area, we have Holly Moray is here today with us, and she has already engaged our teachers in professional learning around how to provide additional opportunities for family engagement in our UTK classrooms. And then I'll let Jen share some of the approaches that we're now trying on this year in literacy acceleration. But part of it is a lot of support and partnership with Pam King in our FACE department.
We were very much thinking about our parents and how, what skills that they need, something easy, something doable that they can try on at home, because we hear from them, they want to do so much. They come to our conferences and they just ask parents, they ask their teachers, what can we do? And so we're kind of shifting the model from the whole group Zoom to more on-site parent workshops. So far we've developed 3. They are right now focused on the elementary level, but we could certainly think about other levels as well. So right now we have 3 focusing around reading, writing, and high leverage strategies for reading, with the idea that classroom teachers would be the ones, the deck is made, the resources are made, but it's our hope that classroom teachers would be the ones to deliver the message and get the parents to come. Because we know that if the teachers are the ones facilitating the meeting, we'll have more parents join. So that's something that we're trying right now at our 23 focus schools. However, those resources are available to all elementary schools. They're a part of our universal supports on our website. So any school can take it, do it at a chat with the principal or a parent literacy night. It's available for anybody. Yeah.
And I think, thank you for that, and I really appreciate you lifting up the alignment to the literacy acceleration, the schools that we are providing that support. I know we talked to, and I see Pam back there, really thinking about, as we identify the 1,300 students, we're talking, this is 1,300 students, which students are we talking about in UTK to really actively pursue the parents? Because it's a whole community wrapping our arms around the students. It doesn't do any good if we're really providing in-class supports to some students, and then we're offering parent engagement workshops and you brought that up in our, when Pam provided that family engagement update. And so I really want to thank the team for lifting that up, that alignment piece.
Trustee Whitehurst-Payne?
They're debating who's going to go first.
Yeah, she just had some comments that she was whispering to me that I think I'll let her look them
Well,
up.
I'll definitely go first. I just was kind of looking at the FAST assessment of 2023 and just was pointing out the numbers of Black students compared to white, and the ratio of it, that Black is 5,452 compared to white, that's 20,000. So I kind of just was wondering on that scale on how that percentage was working based off of that.
Can you ask that last part of your question again? Just sample size?
Yeah, like the sizing of that part.
Well, so 5,000 is the total amount, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So the number at the bottom is the total amount of students? Yeah, total number.
Right. So
It's just all students who took that assessment, for each one is below that. N is the total.
So that's the number of students who are enrolled in our district who were at the grade levels that were assessed using the FAST.
Got it.
And so the numbers for our Black youth are the numbers that you see there. That's the number of students that actually took the assessment.
Got it. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
for that clarification.
Oh, one of
Nine-
the things that I think that she doesn't understand, it's, the blacks are a sample of the total there, and that it's the sample size for blacks out of the universe, which is all the students who took it. And the same thing with the whites. Those are all the students, all the white students who took it out of the universal set of students who took the exam. And I think those numbers, the ends are large enough so that the percents are probably pretty accurate. And it doesn't matter if you had a sample size of 10 or 9, that would be too small for you to say that's an accurate set of percents. But anyway, that's a class that maybe we'll deal with that later. The thing that I'm glad that you guys are finally drilling down and you're doing it on a quarterly basis, because it's very frustrating to sit here year after year and we come and we get the same results. And then at the end of the year, we come, we get the same results. And we keep, it's like a revolving door. But hopefully now we can pause every quarter and say, no, we're not on track. Let's get on track. What are we doing or not doing that's causing us to have these outcomes? And that led me to, because I got a call from a community member about a specific school, and it made me want to go back and look at what the SBSAs were. You remember we got all these site plans, and the question came up, if you're getting these kind of data at your school, how are you relating what your plans are for that particular school? Because if you don't ever put it in your plan as a goal, how will you ever get there? And I think that's part of our problem. So now with specifics for the district that we will be looking at quarterly, hopefully we can begin to say, and the schools need to do the same kind of thing. If I don't have a reading goal and I know my data are here, I'll never get there because it's not a goal. There's no focus on it. And so my encouragement to all of the schools, and Dr. Dorsey and I will be looking at that to see what schools are doing based upon what their plans are and what they need to be modifying to get there. I want to talk for a moment about this. We're talking about the fact that some folks are pushing the DEEP model, which is all about phonics and focusing on that in that area versus whole language and pictures and all the other things. And they showed us a movie, and it so happened that one of the parents in the movie was, the children were in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And Dr. Dorsey happened to be trained in that particular system as a child. And I'm from that area, did attend Virginia Beach schools one year. But the point of the matter is, they did have parent involvement, and DEEP does focus on that as a program. They do some wonderful workshops with parents. They do, even before students enroll, 1,000 book readers, I think we call the program, where the children are given books and the parents, and they read to them, and to see how many students can read 1,000 books before they even go to school. So that's something that really gets a child into the mindset of reading. And I'm always talking about my 22-month-old great nephew who loves books already, because he's been exposed. He knows how to sit down, and when it's time, get a book and sit down in the corner and be quiet. And he has an advantage over children who have never seen a book when they walk into school. That's why we're trying to do all these programs before students go to school. I mean, Deep has some wonderful strategies that we're hoping can be implemented overall. And I know that Pam King is involved in working with us with parents. But I think the overall issue has to be quarterly. We want to see some real progress. And I'm not sure, 3% seems kind of low to me, because if we're really pushing, let's push ourselves harder to see what we can do to help children. Because otherwise we do them a disservice when they're not able to access information because they don't know the strategies and how to work to get there. So I'm mild tonight. I might be a little bit more frustrated when we come back again, but know that I have served notice that we, in spite of everything, for the, I don't know how many schools I've been to. I need to get with Melissa and see again. Maybe it's close to 40.
Probably less than 40.
Just because you've done 40, okay. But one of the things that I did talk with the principals about, for the most part, was, okay, you have a mental health goal, but what is your academic goal for this year? If you don't have something you're focusing on, then you're not going to get there. You have to have that goal and present it to parents, students, hold students accountable, and then we're offering all of these supports. We're offering the Earth Lab, we're offering the Elementary Institute, all these perks, the Summer Level Up program, things that will enhance your ability to understand and grasp what is necessary for you to know those concepts. Okay, so thank you. Look forward to your returning.
Thank you, Trustee Whitehurst-Payne. Trustee Cotoriano.
So first I want to say thank you for such an amazing presentation, and I really want to applaud a lot of the work done about cultural competency and cultural literacy. I mean, when I was looking through this, almost every goal was integrated with learning in a culturally sensitive way, having these materials in a culturally sensitive way, and I really appreciate, especially as we think about, how do we know the power of seeing educators and curriculum that look like ourselves. And I really would like to applaud you guys on that. I wanted to dive really deeper for a second to the metrics, indicators, sorry. And I had a couple questions about indicator 5 first. I mean, it sounds amazing to have a true indicator to see how confident are students, how are they feeling like they're belonging in classrooms, but I also can see that being incredibly difficult. So what will that process look like?
I can start. Yeah, first, it is going to be difficult, and there are a lot of different things that we're going to be looking at, and so we're going to look at what's existing. It's going to be a part of this process of our literacy asset mapping, but one specific example is the program Zello. Zello does strengths finding, and so that is one aspect of this. It's not nearly that complete picture. Some of our schools use a survey called Youth Truth that measures engagement and some other things. So there are some measures out there, but we also believe we need to collect street data in additional ways and analyze that street data in additional ways that we haven't necessarily done before or known how to do before. And so, like we said, we added street data to those dashboards for each of your sub-districts. We hope that that's just a start. We plan to keep collecting that and adding to it, and then figuring out how it's connected to all of these indicators. Ray, did you want to add to that?
I was just going to add to that we believe so strongly that it's incredibly important for us as educators to understand our students, and also for our students to truly understand themselves as learners, as people, right? And that is what's going to help them to either identify and further understand what they're reading and how they're collaborating with others in the classroom. But it also, we realize it is complex, right? And so we do have things that, such as Sarah, what she has described happening in our district. At the same time, in our literacy acceleration plan, we've been kind of exploring how we might collect street data and have a window into these areas with our students. And so it may look like surveys, and then as Sarah said, it may also look like something else. And so like our literacy acceleration reading support teachers and instructional coordinators have been collecting data for us to get a better sense of, what are true indicators, how can we best look at that information and gather that information from our students and our educators. And so that's why you also have on your digital data dashboards for each of your areas, you'll have a sample, a highlight of an educator and a learner in your district. And that is just our initial attempt at trying to understand better about how we can use street data to see our students, their assets, their funds of knowledge, and really build upon that in the classroom. Because ultimately, that's what we want to do, right? We want to build on that.
That sounds like amazing work, and I'm reminded of last presentation when we also did a little bit of focus on the idea of social emotional growth and learning. And so what I see this is, if we do truly find a really effective tool in analyzing motivation, joy, identity, and confidence within our students, I mean, that would be wonderful. Is there a timeline for that, or is it still we'll see what we'll find?
So this is something that we'll be doing in collaboration with another team, our asset-based data team.
Right.
And it's work that we're just beginning. You can see we've been exploring, right? And we've kind of entered that experimental stage as well. And this is the year that we really want to dive in. And as you know, like when you go to implement something or design something, it's not just a single event, right? It's a process. And in that process, we have to really look at what's already currently happening and what are the results of that, or what are the benefits or best practices, and then think about how we can enhance those practices or customize those practices for what we are seeing happening with our students in our schools. So it's a process that we'll be engaging in this year, but the good news is we've already been doing some experimenting and exploring in that area.
I think it'll be important each time we come back to give an update on where we are. I think that's where Matthew is really, I think the board is very clear for us that we've been squishy in terms of data, dates, and so we should at least, at a minimum, have an update. Here's what we've done.
Yes.
Here's where we are. This is what we're anticipating. And so, the board has been understanding. I think we just need to be clear on that. So I would like to see us at least an anticipated date, Trustee Quitoriano, and then progress towards that. Okay.
I agree. I think it is hard. I mean, I know some students that, sometimes I can't even quantify my confidence in a classroom. And I understand that it'll be hard, but I think just because it's hard, we shouldn't let that have us hide behind deadlines and things like that. And I'm sorry to take too much time, but I just wanted to dive in really quickly about the goals. I mean, what the big goal that was highlighted here was the 3% that I think we're all thinking of. And like Sharon said, to us, that might not seem like a lot, but you guys are the experts here. And so maybe you talked a little bit about how there's a meeting going on November 2nd, and the first week of November, about really reanalyzing our goals. So when I first looked at these indicators, I saw these were some phenomenal indicators, that growth that Richard really talked about. And I agree, I think growth is really important, right? Graduation rates, all these different indicators. Is there a particular reason why, for this particular presentation, you chose to select this goal surrounded around the smarter balanced assessments, and why not one of the other indicators? And looking forward, looking in November, what will be the next steps?
So, as we shared, we do have the 5 indicators that are our goal, right? The 5th one being something that we need to develop, and we can provide for you a timeline of that design, and also what we project out for implementation. That we can also share with you that progress, but we'll work with that data assessment team in collaboration with them to design that. With regards to the goal, currently the data that we had available was that smarter balanced data, and that is a marker from the state of which students are at or above grade level, which students are meeting standards, grade level standards. Now, earlier we mentioned, Trustee Barrera mentioned that the 3% is this overall, and so we're looking to move approximately 1,300, a little over 1,300 students into that band of at or above grade level. At the same time, we have students who are not yet meeting grade level, and they're at various levels, than what they call the distance from meeting that standard. And that is one area that we want to analyze during that day-to-day to see, what does that current reality really look like? And how could we take a look at that measurement and look for progress? That progress, though, is going to happen annually, right? Because it is the Smarter Balanced Assessment. But that is something that we're looking to do differently than maybe what we have done in the past. And that's in addition to that 3% overall. Additionally, then what we also talked about is looking at those groups of students to define what are the goals for those groups of students, because perhaps 3% is something that we need to reconsider when we are looking at the Smarter Balanced Assessment so that we can accelerate that growth, right? And then lastly, thinking about that FAST assessment, it's new data for us, right? We are thrilled that we did have over 90% participation rate in our FAST. That is something that is really something to be celebrated as a district. We have been working towards having a common assessment. And so we're excited to be able to take a dive into that data now that we have that across our system, and really look at the overall as well as our student groups. And so when we do that, we'll come up with additional goals for the FAST as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Trustee Pedersen,
Thank you.
waiting patiently.
Yeah, I'm cognizant of people's time. I'll be brief. I want to make explicit something that first of all, thank you very much. This is the fact that people are talking about it means you put together a great presentation that had the data that we could actually talk about. So we appreciate that. I want to make explicit something that Shana, that Trustee Hazen was talking about, which is, and I think everyone sort of echoed, is the need to disaggregate the goal on multiple axes. By which I mean both in relation to the different population groups, and it may be that moving your English only or your white population from 81 to 83 is part of the goal, and it averages out to 3, but that we actually want to have our Hispanic and Black populations move 4 or 5%. Right. And I think that would solve some of the issues that Sharon had with the 3%, and then that 3% as an average becomes much more realistic. But on another axis, which when I was on the site governance team or school site council, I can't recall which one was making this discussion, but at Torrey Pines Elementary, we had the challenge of, we had very high meet and exceed scores. And so then it became a question of breaking down, as you pointed out, not only distance, but meet and exceed, which is to say, it may be more in terms of our impact on the life trajectories of students. It may be more important for us to move children from not meet to meet than it is to get a student who's at the very high end of the meet to the exceed. And so I guess if we could get some goals that disaggregate on multiple axes, and you probably being experts know more axes than I know in terms of how you would disaggregate those goals. So that's what I'll say on that one. And I would also, a lot of what's happening here is a lot of issues are coming up that are integrated. And I think one of them, and they come up at a lot of our board meetings, is I think we all recognize that that we are addressing these achievement gaps in the classroom. That's where our purview is. But we all recognize that the gaps are emerging outside of the classroom. The majority. I mean, we have bias in the classroom. We have differences in allocation of teaching staff. There's all kinds of things that are within our purview. But the majority of this, the English only versus English learner, or the white versus Black and Hispanic, that's emerging in inequalities that are outside of the classroom. I mean, predominantly. And so I think a lot of us are wrestling with how we address that, and I think a question came up, several trustees brought up the issue of what we're doing to help train parents. And so, and Trustee Hazen had brought up the fact that a lot of these success stories are coming with private philanthropy, and Trustee Wires-Payne and I had another example over at Monroe Clark, where they're working with Price Philanthropies to have 8 social workers. Our only social worker out of 14,000 some odd employees. We have 1 social worker and 8 provided by Price Philanthropies. And it's amazing, and what it's doing is it's getting at the family side of where these inequalities are emerging. And so I say that because my question is, we have a friend, a mutual friend, Richard and I, Erica, I think it's Erica, right, who's involved with adult education system. And what are we doing, because it's not just preparing students, giving families the tools to help facilitate it, it's actually helping them build up their own social, financial, educational capital to be able to transfer that to their children. So what are we doing in terms of, and I think a common theme that comes up is our need to strengthen our relationships with other agencies, whether it be the county or the County Office of Education or the state legislature, or, and in this case, with the adult education system, which is its own system, and maybe we could help address some of these inequalities that are emerging outside by collaborating in a tighter way with the adult education system. That's it.
As you said, it's an integrated issue, and it's beyond the scope of just our department, but the ways that our department, one thing we're doing is engaging with other departments, with family engagement in particular. It makes me think of community schools, which is an area we have started reaching out to, but we're also in separate spaces. But as we highlighted just briefly, that launching this family and school and community network is a primary next goal. We're launching it this fall very soon. Ideally, we would like it to be co-led by a student, a parent, an educator, and someone from our leadership, so that it is co-created, co-owned, and really meets the needs of different communities. So we are working with partners to bring that about, and so I think that's our lens into the greater discussion that you're talking about at this current moment.
Trustee Hazen.
Thank you. As you were talking about fast data, I'm wondering, so I know you said 90% of sites who could take the FAST did. So I just want to make that not students.
I
think
can
it's
offer
sites.
more clarity in there.
And then if you can talk about iReady, because I know some of our highest needs, lowest performing schools didn't take the FAST. And so the data that we're seeing doesn't include those populations. And so I think it's important that we're all clear on what we're seeing and what we're not seeing. And then how do we make sure when you come back to us that we see data for those schools even though they're not taking the FAST?
We can.
And then one other just sort of corollary related to the FAST is the FAST available in other languages? So I'm thinking about our language immersion schools, Spanish, French, Mandarin. Do we have any measures of literacy for those schools? And I recognize this is all a work in progress. This is the first time we're using this, but those things are important.
Yeah, I do think that's important, and if we don't, we can come back to the board. So I'd rather go there. I mean, Sarah, if you have something, I just think, by the way, this is good news. We're having a very good conversation, one that I think has been much better than in the past. So that's a good thing. So I want to acknowledge the work that you are doing and appreciate this dialogue.
Did you have one more? Were you going to say something? Do you want to say anything else? Nope.
I was just going to say that we do have, the FAST does assess students in Spanish. There is, to my knowledge, but we do have the Director of Assessment Services with us. Do we have anything for Mandarin or French? Not yet. For French, we do. Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it is 90% of students. It's actually 91.6% of students, eligible students, did take the FAST assessment, which is a huge celebration. And for the first time ever, also, we have FAST data on our K through 2, which we didn't have before, which is a big shout out to our assessment services team for all the training that they've conducted as well, for our educators to be able to give that assessment. So we do have K through 12 FAST data.
Thank you. And I would just like to end by saying I'm looking at this literacy data dashboards. It's broken down by districts. And I just want to congratulate you on that too. That's amazing that you can click on that and just look at grade and, English language learners, all the different indicators, and fantastic. So thank you, and thank you for a wonderful presentation. I wanted to end by just getting your input to some degree on, I've been in talking with principals. I know others have been out. I think Trustee Whitehurst-Payne had mentioned about talking to the principals and at the different schools and some of their concerns and their challenges. And I know particularly at the middle school, I've heard one of the things is with technology and the fact that our students are reading less overall. Like, there's just not books anymore. Everything is very digital. And I have 2 daughters who are in their 20s, and they're like, we don't read, Mom. Like, and I'm like, why do you not read? It's just not as much of a thing now, which is concerning to me. I see so many little ones, and it's so much easier just to shove a screen in front of them than to actually sit with them and read a book. And even on YouTube now, if you want to learn, you don't have to read any directions anymore. Nothing is reading. So I know principals have also expressed this concern, but is there anything that especially for some of our students that are older and maybe coming into our system that we can't catch when they're either younger, and I know it's hard to keep up with technology and AI and all the rest, but is there anything we can do to get around that and, make them, I think that goes along with maybe this motivation and joy, like wanting to read. I guess I can get concerned about that because from a very young age, I feel like we're not really encouraging, not in general, it's just, and parents are busy, like someone mentioned, they don't have time a lot of time to sit and read with their students, and but how, has there been any discussion about that?
I would just push back first and just say, students are reading. They're reading their texts. They're comprehending. They're constantly being critical consumers of information, whether that's coming via their phone or via TikTok. That is truth. So I'm sure Matthew and our other people might want to chime in.
That's true. I guess it's maybe a different kind of reading. I think of social media as being more visual.
Well, I was going to reference Matthew as well because he was talking about culturally responsive texts, and we made a massive purchase a couple years ago with some of our Title I money, and I've seen them in classrooms, in middle schools. Every middle school and high school English department got to choose which books they thought their students would want to read, and some schools got really detailed in their requests because they knew exactly the books that they were looking for. I've seen some amazing libraries. Wagenheim is one that I saw recently. So I think part of that is finding the books that they want to read. Maybe they're graphic novels and not Jane Eyre.
Yeah, okay, yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you guys are good. Okay, good. All right.
That was a long conversation
yes,
by the
it
board,
was.
so thank you for enduring.
Thank you,
that.
Maria, Sarah, and Jen. Phew. Okay, now we will consider board consent agenda items F1 through F5. Adoption of minutes, authorization to excuse board member absences, approval of reappointments or of representatives to the Community Advisory Committee for Special Education, resolution recognizing November 12th through 18th, 2023 as United Against Hate Week, and resolution recognizing November 2023 as National Runaway and Homeless Youth Awareness Month. Do we have a motion on items F1 through F5? Motion by Trustee Hazen. Do we have a second? Second by Trustee Pedersen. And do we have any speakers? Okay, thank you. Okay, and I believe Trustee Hazen wanted to speak to the resolution on, which one is it? United Against Hate. Thank you. Excellent.
Yes, I'd like to speak on F4. I'm proud to introduce our district's first resolution recognizing United Against Hate Week along with President Bazo. Bringing United Against Hate Week to San Diego was a priority of mine as chair of the city's Human Relations Commission, and I'm grateful that we live in a city that stands strongly and vocally against hate. As a school district committed to fostering inclusion, belonging, and safety for our children, I've seen time and again that San Diego Unified rejects hate, of any kind and believes that building a safer and more equitable world starts by working together. Our district embraces dignity, humanity, and respect for all cultures, races, and ethnicities. And as someone committed to creating a world free of hate, oppression, and violence where all children can thrive, tonight I would like to condemn the recent terrorist attacks against the people of Israel and in San Diego's sister city of Shar HaNegev. My heart breaks for the families of innocent people killed in the attacks and all those across our San Diego unified community whose loved ones are in danger on the other side of the world. As we adopt this resolution uniting against hate, I know our schools will remain steadfast in their commitment to help students navigate these challenging times while condemning all acts of hate.
Thank you, Trustee Hazen. We appreciate your comments, and thank you for your support on this resolution as well. Okay, do we have any other comments? We'll go ahead and start with our student voters. Let's start with Trustee Lavender Williams.
Aye.
Okay, Trustee Catoriano.
Aye.
Okay, everyone else? Okay, that passes unanimously with student members concurring. Okay, now we're going to move on to, yes, we give that one a round of applause. Okay, we are now going to consider items H1 and H2, which is an emergency waiver for air conditioning repairs at Henry High School. We all know that's important.
That is important.
And procedures and pre-qualification of leaseback contractors. Do we have a motion on items H1 and H2? Motion by Trustee Hazen, second by Trustee Whitehurst Payne. No speakers. Okay, any discussion? No? Okay, then we'll go ahead and start the vote. Trustee Catoriano.
Aye.
Trustee Lavender Williams.
Aye.
Everyone else? Okay, that passes unanimously with the student members concurring. Thank you. And now we will move on to Section I, the Superintendent's Consent Agenda. We will consider items I-1 through I-49. The following items were previously withdrawn by staff. They include I-13, I-22, I-24, I-33, I-37, I-39, and I-43. Do we have a motion on items I-1 through I-49? Motion by Trustee Barrera. I think we had a second by Trustee Catoriano. And do we have, is this one, we have one speaker, and is that, sorry, let me get back up here to the top. Okay, Stephanie Timmis. Is Stephanie available? Come on up to the mic. Stephanie, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, can you hear me? All right, my name is Stephanie Trimmis. I am a former elementary classroom teacher, the current PTA president at Ocean Beach Elementary, and most importantly, a mom of 3 young children. I'm speaking on behalf of the parents and students at our school. I'm here to say that the parents and students strongly oppose the removal of 3rd grade classroom teacher Bailey Ringer from Ocean Beach Elementary. We oppose this decision because Ms. Ringer is beloved by her students, parents, and her colleagues alike. She's a tremendous asset to the Ocean Beach Elementary School. But even more than that, we oppose the decision to remove Ms. Ringer because of the negative impact this decision will have on the students of Ocean Beach Elementary. According to the district's stated vision, one of its values is student-centered decision-making. So let's do that. Let's imagine the experience of these students. They've been in this classroom since mid-August, almost 2 months. They've spent the better part of each day with a teacher whom they've grown to love. This is proven in the words of the letters they wrote. I have a whole bunch of them right here. They have a teacher whom they've grown to trust over this time. They've developed a classroom family with a shared mission statement. And these kids have settled into routines. They feel safe and comfortable in their learning environment. They are at this point in the school year where the magic starts to happen. They start to be able to get into deeper learning once they have that comfort and trust and stability. But instead, we're asking these children to go ahead and pack up their things this Friday. Again, 8 weeks into the school year. And they're supposed to say goodbye to the classroom that they've grown comfortable in. And they're supposed to head into new classrooms with a new teacher who doesn't know them, and other classmates whom some of them they do know, but these classmates have already developed a classroom family and a class mission statement of their own, and these children are just expected to join that and figure it out. We're asking these kids to start over 8 weeks into the school year. I had a district leader I spoke to earlier today tell me kids are resilient. They're going to bounce back. The most frustrating comment is, we've been doing this every year for decades, and it all ends up working out. So we can't possibly know this, to be honest. We can't. Not for every student, at least. As a district, we've spent so much time and energy over the last few years learning about the social and emotional well-being of kids and what social and emotional learning does and the impact it has on student achievement. And I applaud the district for that work. It's huge, it's important, and it matters. Is my time up? Oh. So I urge you, I'm gonna cut this short, and just say that the kids of our district deserve better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and vote on, oh, I'm sorry, question by Trustee Hazen.
Yeah, I have a question on I-6 and 7. So these are VAPA-related items. Are these connected, does anybody know, to Prop 28? I know I had brought this up a little while ago, but I don't know, never got that answered. Anybody?
I don't know that answer, if it's connected to our work that we had or if it's new work. So I'd have to find out.
Okay, and the reason I'm asking is if it's Prop 28 money, I'm wondering, do we have criteria with which we're making decisions about which partners to provide funding for? Because I don't know that we've heard about that.
Drew, are we time sensitive, or are these two that we could pull and bring back? I mean, I'm happy to pull them if we need to and then bring them back. I actually haven't looked at the depth of this, so.
So the funding strength on the item shows various site funds. So I don't believe it's very typical and not contemplated.
Drew, can you use the mic just for the folks who are?
So on the item, you'll see it says various site funds. So that is broad, but I believe it is not incorporated in the Prop 28 thinking and plan.
I'm fine keeping them then.
Well,
Trustee
on
Whitehurst,
number
Payne?
7, we talked about classics for kids, and we went to that event a couple of weeks ago. Was it on a Sunday? Yes, a couple of Sundays ago. And they mentioned that we were funding more at that event, that for the first time, I didn't think it was 28.
I would, my guess is because it's not towards staffing and Prop 28 is more towards staffing, it's probably not. But again, I want you to feel comfortable when we are voting, so I'm happy to do either way.
I'm comfortable moving forward with it.
Trustee
I
Pedersen.
almost never have. I mean, a lot of the stuff gets handled in one-on-one conversation. So I just have a general question. I don't really know. It's not necessarily, it's broadly speaking. I realize that we have a lot of total not to exceed amounts, and that on many of these line items, they never approach what they're not to exceed. I wonder if there isn't a format in which we could get some report backs from time to time, not on each, but like in aggregate, to understand, to get a picture as a board of how, it's hard to get a budget picture of what it means when you have all of these not to exceed amounts, and some of them we may only spend 20% through the course of the contract, and some we're hitting it and we have to extend it. So I wonder if we might, from like quarterly or something, get updates on where we are in relation to the not to exceeds we've committed to. Is that?
We can certainly do that report. I'm not so sure that it's going to get to your point.
Yeah.
Because those dollars are going to be used somewhere else in terms of the budget. I hear what you're saying, and it is not the allocation, it's not to exceed that, but it's not necessarily the allocation to that item.
Well, to my point, I mean, I guess that's what I'm getting at is it would, sometimes we'll have an item where we're like, oh, we just spent $2.5 million on that, and then it turns out 2 years later that we only spent
Correct.
200. So it'd be good just to get a picture of what we're actually spending on these items.
We can certainly do that, and then the question becomes, is that getting to the
core of the
core of the,
Yeah.
the challenge? Okay,
sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote. We'll start with Trustee Lavender Williams,
Aye.
Trustee Catoriano,
Aye.
and all others. Okay, that vote passes unanimously with our student board members concurring. Okay, now we are getting into the public testimony part of our agenda. We have received several public testimony requests, and let's see, we're going to give each speaker, we're going to start with our virtual. We have 2 virtual speakers that have signed up. The first, and they each will have 2 minutes. Samira, oh, sorry, well, looks like one of them is not on anymore. Samira Daria. Is Samira Daria with us?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for joining us. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for all the good work that you do to support our school. We do appreciate it. And I can see from today's discussion that the district is really trying to instill a lot of good programs and metrics to help improve the education in our schools. However, last week I was extremely disappointed when I was notified that my daughter's 2nd grade teacher, Ms. Hahn at Curie Elementary School, was being forced to leave due to the accessing process. I feel that this process has been traumatic for the children in Ms. Hahn's class. They had already developed a trusting relationship with their teacher, and almost 2 months of the school year have passed. I find this unacceptable. I feel that the school is responsible for building a trusting and reliable environment for our children to grow. And a change in personnel this late in the year does not promote this type of trust. Furthermore, as pointed out by the other PTA president, this type of classroom disruption is very disruptive to the learning process. Ms. Hahn is being asked to leave because she's the newest teacher at Curie Elementary. However, she's also an excellent teacher who has put a lot of effort into establishing the culture in her class. Removing a teacher like Ms. Hahn from a culture and community she has worked hard to build 2 months into the school year without considering anything other than budget will only compound the issues the district has with hiring new, competent teachers. We are losing our best new teachers who bring lots of enthusiasm and new strategies to learning because of the district's policies. Going forward, I suggest maybe accessing at the very beginning of the school year. And my understanding is some districts don't have this process at all, that they actually have a budget from the previous year, which accounts for a couple of extra teachers here and there. Maybe this is something we could try and implement.
Thank you.
Because, okay, thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to go to our in-person public testimony, and I'd like to I'm going to call off the names and just have everyone come down to the front, please, and we'll just go in order. We have Elizabeth Gary, Lori LeMasters, Wendy Ingram, Carmen Peralta, Brian Myers, Marissa Baruman, George Harris, Mike Murad, Ryan Stormer, Ale, Monica Pastrana, George Rogers, Kristen Moore, Laura Woodward, and Carissa Rhodes. So we'll just go in that order, and everyone will have 1 minute each.
1 minute? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. It said 3 minutes. It said 3.
Yes, it said 3 minutes, please. Thank you. Tell me when I get to go.
There's a total of 30.
Can you just let us
There's a total of 30 minutes for non-agenda comment, including everyone. So for everyone to speak, they would each get 1 minute.
Yes, so we have 30 minutes, well, we have, and so that allows 1 minute per speaker.
Oh, my.
Okay. We will go ahead, if you're gonna, we need you to calm down. We're gonna get started with our speakers. If you wanna speak, have your time, we will make that available, okay? All right, let's go ahead and start with Elizabeth Gary.
Thank you so much, Superintendent, members of the board. I am class of Point Loma High School 1980. When I went to my counselor, I said I'd like to be a high school home economics teacher, and he said, don't do it, it's a dying profession. But I went around the back way and I did it anyway. I am a foods educator. I am also raising my grandson who's at Silvergate Elementary, and Silvergate principal won't speak to me because I think and eat differently. And I brought up the subject of food and animal agriculture, and she refuses to sit and talk with me about it and has threatened to excommunicate me and ban me from the campus if I do bring it up. Simple subjects like how is milk made or where does meat come from. We can talk about how veggies are grown in the school garden all day long, but if you talk about where the food comes from in the cafeteria, you will be excommunicated and banned from the campus. And I think that's a little bit of a problem, but there is a light of hope because I have been teaching in our public libraries. I was here 10 years ago for Meatless Monday, and I have led vegan cooking clubs in our high school, and I know the future is plant-based, and we need professional development to help our educators embrace that concept, so thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Lori Lemasters.
Thank you for having me. Since we have 1 minute, I'll keep it very short. Lamont Jackson came to the office and asked us to help go to our schools and find out how the home office can help our schools. We've done that, in my personal opinion. One of the things that we can do to help with the budget is to have a remote working. We see that it has worked in budgets in the city of El Cajon, city of La Mesa, city of Lemon Grove. In fact, they even still keep it to where everybody is off 1 day a week. The building closed down and it saves us money. Take a look at that. We also have groups of people who are willing to work from home for all the days to help have that money that we spend on our schools to go to the schools, not into the office. Let us help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Next, we have Wendy Ingram. If you can just be standing up behind the last speaker so you're ready to go, please. And after her is Carmen Peralta. Thank you.
Hi. There are approximately 500 district staff with jobs that do not require daily interaction with students or parents. Instituting the hybrid work program that was scheduled to go into effect January 2023 would have allowed these people to work remotely up to 3 days a week. But instead of choosing to implement this program, the district suddenly decided not to, even though one of the stated benefits in the district's program was to help the environment through the reduction of emissions. For a moment, let's pretend that each of these employee commutes represents a plastic bag being tossed into the ocean. That's 500 plastic bags a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. That's 130,000 plastic bags. Would anyone on this board stand for the district needlessly tossing 130,000 plastic bags into the ocean every year? Well, I guess my time is up, but at any rate, you get the idea. Please, if we wouldn't pollute the ocean, let's not pollute the air either. This is a great program. Please implement it.
Thank you, Wendy. And following Carmen, we also have Brian Myers, Marisa Baruman, George Harris, Mike Murad. Can you please line up? Be ready to go.
Thank you. In July 2022, the district conducted a survey of staff management who supported and participated in the remote work pilot program. The results were overwhelmingly supportive of this program. There were many positive comments as a result of this that show that we are happy with remote work and do not feel that remote work produces a lack of team cohesion, silos, and a disconnect among staff, as stated by the district in their letter from September 25th. The district assumes that we were asking for 5 days of remote work, when in fact we're asking for only 3. That means that we would have 2 days in the office that would fulfill the district's goal to create space for meaningful connection, collaboration, and a sense of belonging and togetherness, as also stated in that same letter. We worked hard during the pandemic to support the district. We proved the success of telework. Honor us. Keep your commitment not only to us, but to the environment by implementing telework policy. Thank you.
Carmen. Following Brian, we have Marissa Baruman.
Good evening. Talking about the remote work, I just wanted to talk about the statutory responsibility that the district has with the passage of environmental bills like AB 238 and AB 35. You're already required and have committed yourself to saving millions of megatons of carbon emissions per year due to previously mentioned commuting issues. Our hybrid work model provides excellent benefit by reducing emissions by over 200 million metric tons. That's if you have people 3 days a week and 500 employees or thereabouts. To emphasize the importance of flexible work arrangements, a study conducted by the National Transportation Safety Board here in San Diego suggests that telecommuting potentially may save as many as 3 lives per 500. That's an astounding statistic, and it may come as a surprise, but it underscores the significance of exploring flexible work arrangements. If we can save even 1 life, not to mention 3, the benefits become invaluable. In conclusion, I invite you to consider the advantage of hybrid work and telecommunicating in light of the profound benefits that can bring both our employees and our organization as a whole.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm here in support of the hybrid work policy. I went from working in a quiet, clean, air-conditioned home office to working in an unsafe and unhealthy work environment at the Ed Center. On August the 30th, staff and communications office went to urgent care due to a pesticide sprayed in our office. We have rodents, roaches, and insects. We have to keep food in plastic containers. On numerous occasions, I've had to leave the office due to extreme heat. There have been several complaints to OSHA regarding the unsafe working conditions at the Ed Center. Leadership's directive will negatively affect our students. October is National Bullying Prevention Month. Today is World Mental Health Day. We hope that our testimony today doesn't result in bullying, retaliation, or baiting by leadership. Our voice matters, we matter. Board members, please request the superintendent provide you with a hybrid work policy and present it to the board within 30 days. A hybrid work policy will not cost the district 1 penny. In fact, it may save us millions.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Jackson, and San Diego Unified colleagues, friends, and viewers. My name is George Harris, and I'd like you to just think about our future. Our core business is preparing young minds to be tomorrow's leaders and problem solvers. Our task is not so much to fill their minds with facts, but to develop critical thinking skills, the type of skills that will equip our students to understand, prioritize, and solve the problems that we can't even imagine. Our job is to strengthen language and communication skills, both verbal and written, so that the brilliance of our students can be shared and understood by the world they will encounter. And we do this and the way we do this is we do this with respect. We treat each other with dignity. We show empathy. And it's something that we must all be committed to modeling. So I want to say just a couple of words about remote work. Even before the pandemic, we had workplace innovations such as alternate work schedules and flex time.
Thank you.
This is just one more innovation that I'd hope you consider.
Thank you. Mike.
Good evening. I was hired at San Diego Unified in February of 2020 as the district's public information coordinator. Just 4 weeks after I started, the district shut down for more than a month because of the pandemic, and we began working remotely. As the days and weeks turned into months and years, we held daily meetings remotely. We were assigned work remotely. Many of us discovered that we could not just survive, but thrive remotely. Over the past 2 years, the communications department has won 21 national awards, all working remotely as a team. The Ed Center was built in 1953. It is now dilapidated, inadequate, unsanitary, and unsafe. We've been told it will still be 3 years until we move into an upgraded facility. Offices at the Ed Center have no air conditioning. Just last week, temperatures hit 80 to 90 degrees inside. The Ed Center does not have a dedicated break room or running water. With only a half-hour lunch break, I bring food to work instead of using the entire time to drive off-site and back. As a result, I rinse out containers in the bathroom every day. For every employer, it's a quality of work issue. We've been providing that to the district for more than 3 years. For us, it is a quality of life issue. Please provide that for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, next, I'd like everyone just to be ready to come up. Right, we have Ryan Stormer, then we have Al, Monica Pastrana, George Rogers, Kristen Moore, Laura Woodward, and Carissa Rhodes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. I appreciate the opportunity to address you after being ignored for a couple weeks here on trying to address this issue. I'm talking to you about the closure of a kindergarten class at Jefferson Elementary, and I speak to you as a father and as an active duty service member, captain in the United States Navy, where I've served my country for 20 years with my wife, and so we are a military family. And so if there's anybody who understands the need for consistency, for routine and trust, it's us. And what you are doing by making a decision to close that is essentially upheaving 50 5- and 6-year-olds who are in their first experience in kindergarten. They've developed trust with their teacher. And Trustee Hazen, you talked about what is effective. And there are a lot of variables out there, but we can all agree as parents, what is not effective is closing classrooms. What is not effective is adding more kids to already crowded classrooms where we have amazing teachers, but they're only one teacher. So what, in all the variables that are out there, does this make sense? And I don't know much, I'm relatively new to the district, but I did do my research, and I see your budget is almost $2 billion. And if you have $2 billion, the decision is to close a kindergarten classroom. 8 weeks in, that is not okay.
Thank you.
Hello, board. Superintendent Jackson, I liked when you said something about community wrapping its arms around students. That's what we do at Jefferson Elementary School. When the district demographics team projected 72 new kindergarten students would enroll at Jefferson, they were wrong. Only 49 did. This gross miscalculation results in the loss of one of our beloved kindergarten classrooms. This is devastating. Not only does this have a negative impact on our 49 new kindergarten families, this will have a long-term ripple effect that is detrimental to the success of the IB program at Jefferson, Roosevelt, and San Diego High. We have invested thousands of dollars in IB training for Jefferson teachers. If we continue to cut their positions, this is a terrible return on investment, and as a taxpayer, this choice is unacceptable. In the past years, Jefferson advertised as an IB STEAM magnet school has 23 choice spots available. Based on the demographic review, that number was sliced down to a mere 7 choice spots. Each of these spots was filled quickly. We respectfully request that the district raise the number of choice spots back to 23 or even more. How can we call ourselves a magnet school if instead of drawing students in, we repel them away? Thank you for your time.
Hello, I'm George Rogers, a parent of 2 students at Jefferson Elementary. My shirt says, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. It's a Dr. Seuss quote. Everyone here knows that. Who cares an awful lot? I do. Parents do. So do the teachers at Jefferson Elementary. Mr. Hubbard, who's being accessed, he knows my kids' names. My kids never had him. He is a great person, a great student. He builds the community. Multiple board members have mentioned compassion with accessing staff and building a community through parents. You know who's doing that? The teachers at Jefferson Elementary. There's tenure there. They don't want to leave. Our kids want to be there. We have people wanting to choice in, and they were turned away. Is that our teacher's fault? Is it the kindergartner's fault? Absolutely not. Just because the numbers say you can put 48 5 and 6-year-olds into 2 classes. Is that a good idea? You can do it. The numbers say you can. Should you do that? Absolutely not. We have great teachers and students that need those teachers. We need every single teacher we can at Jefferson. My kid's in a hybrid class with a great teacher, but it's a 3rd and 4th grade class. We need more teachers at Jefferson, not less. We're an IB magnet school that is doing great.
Thank you.
We're doing really well as a Title I school, and we need more teachers. We can't lose
Thank
the
you.
precious ones we have.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Monica Pastrana. Please do not close the kindergarten at Jefferson. Kids with disabilities are not considered of the classroom size. Kids have a routine already. Kids have friends that they're gonna lose because they're gonna be split on different classrooms. They're gonna miss their teachers. They have 2 months in the school. I mean, we need to show the compassion and understanding that it was said before. It's supposed to be a beautiful year for all the kindergartners, and now they will all need to start from scratch. We did a 2-week transition, so the teacher and the students will have a smooth transition. Now, all the hard work put by the teachers, the students, the parents, all is for nothing. I took so long to be able to explain to my son that he was gonna start kindergarten, that it was beautiful, that he was gonna love the teacher. He comes so happy after school. And after I told the news yesterday, because we just found this news yesterday, he goes, "No, mommy, no, why? Why this is happening? How can I explain to my son that he's 5 years old, these decisions that is made by the school district?"
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura Woodward. I was here 2 weeks ago to talk to you about the allocation reduction at Language Academy, and I'm here again because my son is still slated to lose his teacher. Dr. Jackson, I do want to thank you for what you said tonight about your commitment to revising the process, but I'm here to ask that we start fixing it now. I apologize for my mangled visual that I had to rip down to 8.5 by 11 size. This is part of what's happening at the Language Academy. So there's a kindergarten class going, there's a 1st grade class going, this one's getting split, kids are going here, kids are going there, this teacher is going down here. This reads more like a sports play, not a school. I'm also here for my students at Bell Middle School, where I work. We're also losing 2 teachers, and I couldn't even create a visual for that because the domino effect is huge. I know we're losing at least 2 art classes. Nobody wants to do that, but when this happens in the middle of the year, these are the things that happen. So today, I'm here for my son. I'm here for the students at the Language Academy. I'm here for the students I work with at Bell. I see students at the center of these concentric circles, and if we really feel that, we can't keep taking away their teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Jackson and board members. You've heard from parents and current students. I'd like to give you a different perspective. My name is Carissa Rhodes, and I am an alumna of the Language Academy. I started kindergarten in the French program when the school opened in 1995. The families of 4 of my relatives have moved to San Diego specifically for the French program at the Language Academy, 3 of which are currently enrolled, and I do plan to send my daughter there. Learning a language can be difficult and intimidating, but learning a second language before the age of 10 is often vital for native-like fluency and long-term retention. There have also been studies that have demonstrated greater ability to continue to learn languages later in life when a second language is acquired at a young age. As a healthcare worker here in San Diego, I use the languages I know to help my patients get the best care in words that they can understand, and I've had the opportunity to help tourists in my everyday life. Imagine being in a foreign country and not being able to communicate with a cashier or concierge. Imagine being homesick and longing for a connection, however brief, in your own language, thousands of miles from home. Now understand that the Language Academy gives its students the ability to bridge that distance and close that communication gap. All of this is to say that if the highly qualified language teachers don't remain at the Language Academy, will there even be a school for me to enroll my daughter in a few years when I plan to?
Thank you.
It's going to create an enrollment issue that is going to be manufactured by you guys. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our public testimony, and thank you for providing.
I'm sorry, I signed up during the meeting. My name
Oh,
is Dave Beller. Can I just have
yeah,
1 minute?
absolutely.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yep.
I was moved to come up here and speak, even though I'm not a public speaker really, by the condemnation of the attacks on Israel. So there's been retaliatory attacks too in Gaza, 900 people dead, 4,500 wounded. In Gaza, half of the 2 million people that live there are children. And when there was the last election, about 85% of those people that lived there were too young to vote then. In that election, Hamas did not get a majority. So if we're going to condemn attacks on Israel, I feel like we ought to condemn the retaliatory attacks that are killing these innocent people that never voted for the leadership that they've got. And that's it. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I am Alex Stormer. I'm also an active duty naval officer. I've been serving for 12 years. I'm a veteran of Operation Enduring Freedom. I know about resilience. I have 2 children. My daughter is a kindergartner at Jefferson STEAM Elementary, and I'm here to beg you not to close the kindergarten class at Jefferson STEAM. I want to tell you about what happened to our family in the redistricting. I rent a home in Hillcrest, and I was assigned to Bernie. We learned that there was redistricting last year. We contacted the district to try to enroll. The district did not know where our address made us belong. We enlisted the help of a military liaison professional who reached out to the district. She said the district was confused to her too. The websites and the maps were not updated until after the choice lottery in March. 8 families in my neighborhood that could go to Jefferson were redistricted. They chose not to because of the low scores. They had no opportunity to tour. My superintendent in Area D did not know about the redistricting, that Hillcrest families got redistricted in silence and in the cloak of darkness. It perpetuates systemic racism. It is like redlining, and I demand that you investigate this redistricting before you close this classroom. Save the kindergarten. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for providing your comments to the board and your perspectives. We appreciate your input, and please know that it will help us better serve our students, parents, and the community. This concludes the agendized business of the board, and our next regular meeting will be held on November 14th, 2023. This meeting is now adjourned.